All right, so I'm driving in the rain in December. I mean, can't really complain about that. At least the roads aren't icy and everything, right? But I was having thoughts, and since I'm just driving, I thought that's always when I end up sharing, is when I'm driving around. So, and I do a lot of that because I Uber. But my thought was about projection, and I don't think it's something that everybody, really fully understands yet. I think they're going to come into understanding this a little bit better. But I was thinking about projections because that's something that I've been trying, that I've worked very hard at pulling back, right? Now, projections are, you're projecting through your thoughts, which create the emotion, and then you project your energy onto, whoever you're thinking about or whatever you're thinking about. This is like the law of attraction, is, whatever you're reaching out and grabbing is what you're going to get. So that comes to, even with a martyr and a narcissist. Like there's a reason why they always match up, because they're the opposite ends of the spectrum. So the two bring each other in balance. So the narcissist is projecting out to basically attract the martyr, and vice versa. So because the martyr can't be a martyr otherwise, and a narcissist can't be a narcissist otherwise, but they bring each other into balance. Like it's all a teaching. But people in our lives become whatever we project onto them, or it's a very strong influence. It's kind of like if you treat somebody poorly, they're going to behave poorly, right? Like even like stress and worry, the more you project that out, the more you're calling that in, because your energy is going out and grabbing it. It's going to connect to the closest vibrational match. It's the same as like when you're in relationships and you project, and you're projecting all your stress, all your worry, or your mistrust, or anything like that, you're going to create it. You're going to create it, or you're going to be like, you're going to help create it, right? So if you are, well, even a parent, and it's very difficult not to worry about your kids because you feel like that's love, but that isn't. That's the opposite. So when we project that worry and fear onto our children, we're influencing their energy, right? So it's a negative influence in their life. So you don't want to, when you project love and loving experiences, and it influences them in that heart center, and everybody everybody has a different influence level kind of thing, right? Like, so a parent to a child is going to have, the parent's going to have a lot more influence in the child's energies, considering they're a part of them, the same kind of energy and frequencies. So it's going to cause, it's going to be a stronger influence. Another one is like anybody that you are intimate with, that creates probably the strongest influence, right? So now you're in their energies. Your energies become one when you are intimate with somebody. That's kind of like the contract. So anybody that you're intimate with is now going to have a very strong influence on you. So if they're dealing with trust issues, you're going to play that role for them, and vice versa. They're going to play that role for you, because it's a match, right? You're going to be influencing each other. These are this is why it's so important to bring all your energies back and stop projecting your thoughts and fears onto everybody else around you, because we strongly influence each other and our experiences. I knew the moment I started projecting nothing but love onto my children, I withdrew any fear, any worry, or any concern about their lives and what they were doing, and I saw their lives change. I saw them lighten up, because now they're receiving nothing but love from mom, right? And even though that changed our relationship in real life, now everything is shifted into this healed, loving way, right? So we have to let go of the narrative that we're feeding ourselves, that it is this way, therefore it has to be that way, and that's not true. So if there's conflict, we can change it by changing the energy of it, by changing the thought and changing the emotion, because it's through that emotion we're projecting out. This is the law of attraction. That's why the more you think of something, the more you see it. Well, realize what narrative you're feeding yourself, because it's usually very negative. It's, okay, people are treating you badly, okay, they're going to, right? Because that's what you're going to call in, is that experience, is people treating you bad. So how do you come into your own self, your own energy in a loving way? You want to be a loving influence, not a negative. You want to create loving experiences, not negative experiences, right? So, I mean, the best way too is to recognize your shadows and that they're playing out, right? That they play a role, and what is that, and you know, what do you need to see in order to dissolve those shadows, you know, those negative experiences? Where do you need to heal, right? Because it's not with the person in front of you that you're creating this dynamic with. It's within yourself. You have to heal it so you stop attracting it and creating it, because it's realizing like we're creating our mirror, like we're creating it by law of attraction, by projecting out and influencing, you know, the life around us by our thoughts and our emotions. So it's withdrawing our energy. I mean, that is the matrix, and that's where control happens. Is it's like constant projection and calling these experiences in. So you have to like come back within yourself, call back all your energy, all your pieces. You know, stop spreading yourself out there. Focus on what your narrative is and how you're treating yourself, how you're treating others, even in your thoughts. Because like we all need to change. Stop worry, because worry is not love. Stress is not love. You know, all those things are negative, and we have to see they're fear-based. Something's going to happen. Something's going to happen. Well, when you fear something's going to happen, it's going to happen, right? Because you're calling that to it. So I know this is kind of over-explaining, but I think it should be clear, because this is the life we need to change. Like, we have far more power in our own lives than we realize, but we constantly hand it over, believing it's somebody else doing something to us, but it isn't. They're there because we need them there to see that, you know, we're doing this to ourselves. That it isn't them, it's how you feel ultimately about you. How much do you love you is how you're, you know, is what you're going to experience in your life, because you're calling it all in. So if you're having negative experiences and bad relationships, it's about you healing, not them. They're not doing it to you. They have their own side to it that they're doing to themselves. You know, it has to do with that inner healing and calling your energy back and realize and really starting to pay attention to what your narrative is, because every thought you have creates an emotion that is projecting out. It's projecting into your DNA. It is opening up these experiences. Those are the vibes you are emitting, and that is what you attract in. It really is that simple. So it's really catching it in the mind. It's not that the mind creates all things, but in a sense it does, because it's like a domino effect. So it is like, call your energy back, focus on your narrative, change that narrative. That's why affirmations work. The brain works through repetition. That's how basically the thoughts are created. The neural pathways are built through repetition. That's why the more, you know, something it repeats, it builds those strong. The less you think of something, the weaker those neural pathways are. So it's like changing your narrative from a negative to a positive, and changing it from that self-loathing that you probably don't even realize you're doing into a self-love and loving those around you, because that changes everything. Because that is what creates the emotion, that creates the vibrations that speak to your DNA and the world around you. So it's like very important. Anyway, that's my spiel. This went on much longer than I thought. Not that it matters, you either like it or you don't, right? I know this isn't something like that I've mastered or anything. It's something that I've been working on a long time to understand and figure out, because of the way I experience the life around me is a little different. And it's not a way that I can really explain, but it's taught me how energy works, not to mention all the quantum physics. So I like all the sciences and stuff that I've studied has also shown, like, it's kind of giving me a language and an understanding of the things that I experience in a way that I can, you know, figure out how to navigate this. Like, the matrix is our energy. There is no space between us. Everything is an ebb and flow, and every thought, every emotion, everything is ebbing and flowing. So whatever goes out comes back in. So where are you sitting? Because it matters, right? So how do we start a new beginning? It's like, okay, let's wipe the slate clean. Well, you have to call it all back. Stand in your own energy. Know who you are without the shadows, right? And that takes a lot of work and effort. So you got to love yourself enough to do it. That's the other part. Maybe you do love yourself, you just don't realize it. Because why else are you still here fighting? It's you you're fighting for. That's what I realize. I fought for myself. That's why I survived. Because this life hasn't been easy. It's been a living hell. But I lived. I survived. I moved through it. I loved myself enough to fight for me and my life, right? It was more than just like, absolutely I love my children and all that, but ultimately it's been me. I've had to carry myself through this whole life, but I loved myself enough to do it. So do you. So realize the love that you do have and start there. Start with the love.